Okay, now to the good stuff, the new Steel tab. I'm loving this tab because we can now efficiently model connections in Revit. In Revit, under Models, let's go to New. For the template file, click the drop down. Let's go to Structural Template. Click OK. Next, let me introduce you to the new Steel tab. The very first button is Connection. What happens if we just simply click Connection? We look down on our properties, and there are no connections loaded. So we gotta bring some in. Hit Escape a few times. The reason they're not loaded is because there's so many. It's a good problem to have. We can click this drop down and make sure we turn on Show Warnings in the views, because sometimes it won't make the connection, but it'll tell you why. Now under Connection, click the Connection Settings button right here. Look at all of these connections. Now, none are loaded into the project. Some people like to load them all. I don't really like loading them all. So all we need to do is choose a couple. Clip angle, column beam seat. Look at how many there are. I haven't counted them, but I'll bet there's 100. Plate, whatever you want. Click Add. Now if we'll notice, we can go to the parameters. These parameters can show up in our settings. So if we add one, I'm going to call it placeholder. So what we can do is we can schedule on this. So if I click OK, now if I go to Structure, draw a beam here, draw a beam here, hit Escape, go to a 3D view. What'll happen is our connections won't show up if our detail level is not set to fine, which makes sense. I'm going to change it to Hidden Line. Now if we go back to the Steel tab, click Connection, you'll see now we have some available connections. So if I grab Clip Angle, and if I hold down my Control key and click on both of these, you can either hit the space bar or Enter. It's going to pop it in. But what's nice is if we select it and our approval status, we can set it to placeholder. That way everyone knows that this is just a placeholder. And look what it did. It copied the beam also. Pretty awesome stuff. We're down to level 1. Go to the Structure tab. Let's go to Column. For this column, I want to grab a 24 by 30 concrete rectangular. So I'm just going to put it in the model right here. Hit Escape a couple times. Let's click Column again. This time I want to grab a W10 by 33. I'm going to change my depth to height. Then I'll send it up to level 2. Now I'm going to snap it to the center of this other column. Hit Escape a couple times. Let's go to a 3D view. Let's change our detail level to fine. Remember, you have to do that or these won't show up. Change your visual style to Hidden Line. Go to the Steel tab. On Connection, let's click on Connection Settings. There's a lot of different base plates. I'm just going to grab a base plate. Click Add. Let's click OK. Now click Connection. For our properties, click the drop down. Let's select base plate. Select your column and hit Enter. Hit Escape a few times. I'm going to increase my scale a bit. If I select my pier, we'll see what our anchors look like. Here's the beauty of it. Select the base plate. Click on Modify Parameters. Now this is a game changer. So for the plate thickness, 1.5 inches. Layout, we can do total for centers by anchors. Direction, I would say by column. Rotation. What's nice is this gives us a lot of choices and it explains what they are. We can go to plate corners. We can change the plate corners if we want. Let's go to anchors and holes. Anchor diameter. Basically whatever we want. But the anchor type. Look at all the different types of anchors. Hilties in there. Quite a few. The grade, the assembly, the length. We got them sticking out a foot. Hole tolerances. We can create only a hole. And it gets rid of them. We can add slatted holes. We can add washer plates. We can increase the distance. We can add groups. And I'll keep going down through here, but look at all this stuff. Welds, stiffeners and plates. We can add a leveling plate, half-inch thick, add shin plates, whatever you want. The choices are here. It's pretty awesome. I'm gonna close out. Take a look. It's pretty cool. Let's draw a couple beams. Go to the Structure tab. Click Beam. I'm gonna draw one here. I'm gonna draw one here. Hit escape a few times. Now go to a 3D view. Let's zoom in onto beams. Change the detail level to fine. Change the visual style to hidden line or realistic or whatever you want. Go to steel. Click connection settings. Scroll down till we find clip angle. Let's add it. Click OK. Click connection. Hit the drop down here. We'll grab a clip angle. Now hold down the control key and select both beams. Hit enter. And there's our clip angle. Let's go back down to level 2. Hit escape a couple times. Notice you can't see it, but it gives us an indicator. Let's cut a section. Open the section up. Set your detail level to medium. We can see our beams, but we can't see our connector. Now, if we set it to fine, we can see it. Let's increase our scale to 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. There we have it. It shows our hidden lines and everything. But we're not done. Select your clip angle. Click Modify Parameters. And now we have everything. Code checking. We can check it to AISC or EC3. Go to clip angle. We can deal with the angle here. It can be double, single after single, right? Now if we go here, here's all the sizes available. We can change it to whatever we want. If you get confused, they label them here, they label them here. Long leg, secondary or main. If you switch it though, the bolts sometimes won't go with it. Clip weld, we can add welds. Now the cope, we're dealing with the beam here. So if we zoom in and we don't like that, we can increase that. So if we want to change the cope length to something deeper, 4 inches, we can increase that. We can change the gap vertical setting. We can change the cope radius. Bottom cope, same deal. Bolts. Use any kind of bolt we want. If you look at all the bolts they have, tons of them. The grade, the assembly, is done on site or in the shop. You have more choices than you've ever had before. Add some slotted holes on the beam. You can even add shin plates. Close out of here. There you have it. That's how you add a clip angle. Let's go down to level 1. Let's go to the Structure tab. Let's grab a column. I'd like to load a column. Let's go to Load Family. Grab an HSS Hollow Structural section. Click Open. And I don't care which one you grab. So grab a 10 by 10, I suppose. Click OK. The height will go up to level 2. It's going to pick a spot like right here. And hit escape a few times. Now let's go up to level 2. Let's click Beam. And I don't care the size, 12 by 26 is fine. I'll go from the midpoint of my column out to here. Hit escape a few times. Let's go to a 3D view. Set the detail level to fine. Go to the Steel tab. Let's go to Connection Settings. Let's scroll down till we find column beam seat angle. Let's grab column beam seat T also. Click Add. Click OK. Now we're ready. On the Steel tab, click Connection. Let's find column beam seat angle. Hold down the Control key. Select the beam. Select the column. Hit Enter. Hit Escape, and it puts it in. Let's change our visual style to realistic. Let's increase our scale to 3/4 of an inch equals a foot, so we can kind of see it. Put it right in for you. A couple things. Go ahead and select it. Click Modify Parameters. Let's just slide this over so I can see it. We can have it welded or bolted. We can change the angles. You've seen all that. For the top fixing, we don't really need that. So I'm going to go to None, because it's at the very top. Of course, our dimensions, we can set all of our dimensions. Our side fixing, we can increase the length to, 6 inches. If we had a web to cut, we could cut it out. We can add welds. It will add a weld. You'll see the weld there. We're going to look at welds in depth in a few more videos. Bolts and holes, seat bolt distance. I think you get the picture. So we can close out of here now. But what's nice about this is if we select our column and change it to, W10 by 33, it's going to adjust to it. If we select our column and rotate it by hitting the space bar, it'll adjust it back. So these things are pretty smart. Of course, if we select our seat angle, we can change it to a T angle. Of course, if we go back and modify the parameters, you can also click that here. Click Edit, Top Fixing. We can just turn that off. Or below the plate if we want. Or say none. So there you have it. That's how you add a beam seat. Go to Structure, click Beam, let's draw a beam here, and I'm going to draw a beam right here. Just skip a few times. Go to a 3D view, zoom in on it, change the scale to 3/4 of an inch equals a foot, detail level to fine. Let's change it to realistic. On connection, let's click on Connection Settings. Scroll down till we find Click Angle. Let's add that. Click OK. Click Connection. Select your clip angle. Hold down the Control key. Select this beam and then that beam. Hit Enter or your spacebar. There it is. Now let's just change it. So with it selected, go to Modify Parameters. And I don't care, you can change whatever you want. Bump up my angle. Ooh, she's big. Bolt parameters. Slide roll, shim plates. Just change a couple things, whatever you want to do. I'm going to close out of here. Hit Escape. Now select it. Click Customize. Call it Typical. Clip Angle. Now click OK. Just click Finish here. Now let's go back to level 2. Right click on this beam and create similar. Let's draw another one here. Go to a 3D view. Select connection. Hit the drop down here. This time I'll use typical clip angle. Select both of these beams by holding down the control key. Hit enter. And there's our typical clip angle. Notice that you can modify the parameters. So this is it. Hit escape a couple times. That's it. That's how you save your settings. Let's model a couple beams, like we've been doing. Set your detail level to fine. Change it to hidden line. Slow clip. Click OK. Select connection. Clip angle. By holding down the control key, select both of these beams. Hit enter. There it is. Now let's break it. Click the break button. That's a cool connection. Now what we see is it models these as all one part, but we'll see it essentially explodes it, but at least it keeps the intelligence of these items. So these are still bolts, and we can select them. We can still change them. But everything else has become attached and independent of one another. That was a quick, easy video, but that's how you essentially explode a fitting. Go to the Structure tab. Just draw a beam. I don't care how long or at what angle, it doesn't really matter. Hit escape a couple times. Now let's set our detail level to fine. Go to the Steel tab. And on the Fabrication Elements panel, click Plate. Click Rectangle. I'm not going to get too fancy. I'm going to pick a point right here. And I'm just going to come down and I'm going to pick a point right here. Hit escape a few times. Notice that there's not much we can do with it, but you do have the full complement of draw tools. Let's click Finish. Let's go to a 3D view. Zoom in on it. Now remember, it has to be in fine detail level. So let's change our detail level to fine. Change our visual style to realistic. And there we go. I have my thin lines turned on. Now let's see what we can do about bulking this down. Let's go to level 2 structural plan again. For bolts, click the drop down. Notice that there's a few different types of bolts you can have. Anchors, holes, shear studs. Let's go to bolts. Let's pick elements to connect. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'll pick the plate. And hold down my control key. Pick the beam. Hit enter. Now I'm going to select my plate again. Don't have a lot of patterns. We have circles. We have rectangles. I'm going to go back to my rectangle. I'll pick the outside now of my plate. I'll pick the endpoint here. And escape a few times. And again, there's not much we can do in terms of spacing and justification. So let's just click Finish. And we've got 2 bolts dangling off the end. Go to a 3D view. Let's fix them. Select your bolts. Of course, we can change the standard, the grade, the diameter. But I'm going to scroll down to number on side 1. Let's take 24. I don't know how long your beam is. But now we're spacing them down. It's really bolted down well. Number on side 2 is fine. Edge distance on side 1. Let's say 1 inch. Same with on side 2. Let's go 1 inch. Hit apply. I'll put some in there. If we go to a 3D view, take a look underneath. There we go. And of course, now if we select our plate, we want that to be a 1 inch plate. It's going to adjust. Now our bolts are going to adjust with it. That's pretty awesome. I like this new functionality. Remember though, if you extend the length of the plate or the beam, You have to respace the bolts. Hit escape a couple times and we are good. Let's go to the Structure tab. Let's click on Beam. Then I'm just going to draw a little beam in here. Set your detail level to 5. I want to put a plate on top of that. So let's go to the Steel tab. Go to Plate. Click on Rectangle. And I'm going to put this plate up on here. Hit escape a couple of times. Click Finish. Now let's go to a 3D view. Set the detail level to 5. Set the visual style to hidden line. Now I'll put a little weld right here. Click on Welds. Now I want to connect the plates. Hold down the Control key to the beam. Hit Enter. Pick an edge of the selected elements. So I'm going to come down here, and this is where my weld wants to be, right about here. There's my weld. Now with the weld selected, I want to change a couple items. Let's change the length. Let's make it a 3-inch long weld. Let's change the pitch to 1/8 inch. Just a couple things. Click Apply. Of course, we can have all sorts of different types of welds. As we go down through the properties, it's pretty much got every single thing we need. But what I want to do is keep it simple. Let's go back to level 2. Now we can see the weld. If we click the tag button, we can pick our weld. It's a big giant tag, so I'm going to select my tag. I'm going to click on Edit Family. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Line. I'm going to draw it down about here, I think. I'm going to select my label. Let's click Edit Label. I'm going to click Main Type, I get rid of that. Main Thickness, I'm going to get rid of that. Now what I'd like to do is add pitch and length. We'll add length first. Sample value, I'll type in 3 inches. For the suffix, I'll type in a hyphen. Oh, I want to find pitch. Add that. Again, I'll just type in an increment 1/8 inch. Click Apply, click OK. I'm just going to move this up. I'll change it to left justified. Click Edit Type. I want to make the background transparent. Bump down the width factor to 0.8. And then we apply that. Hit OK. Okay, now I'm just going to be creative. Put some lines here. I'm going to mirror that. I'll put a flag on it. We create a line. Go up to here. I'll go back to create a filled region. For the subcategory, I'm going to go invisible lines. Put down a little bit. I know I'm being kind of sloppy. I'll put a little circle on here. Now remember, we can turn all this stuff on and off with visibility parameters. But we're not going to do that here. Maybe I'll move this in. Now I want to load this into project. Overwrite the existing version. I'm going to manage. I'm going to go to my project units. For the length, I want to suppress 0 feet. Click OK. Click OK. Now I can move that up. And we could even make an adjustment. A lot of these weld symbols take a little while to get the way you want to see them. And this could be better too. But you get the idea. We could make a perfect weld symbol by just simply adding a weld. First thing I want to do is just add a plate. Go to steel, go to plate. I'm just going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to click finish. Remember, created elements are only visible in detail level fine. Okay, let's set our detail level to fine. Now let's jump over to the modifiers panel and just go from left to right. Let's click corner cut. Let's select our plate. The type straight. See, it's giving a little bit of a hack out of that side there. If you get off of it, all you have to do is hover over it and tab back onto it. We'll go 2 inches by maybe 2 inches. Click off of it and it's there. Okay? So if we tab back onto it, instead of it being straight, we can make it either convex or we can make it concave. There we go. We could have just drawn that in while we were making the plate, but I want to show you how to do a corner cut. Click the plate. Zoom out a little bit. Go to structure. Let's draw in a beam. I don't care how long it is. Now if we go to the steel tab, Cope skewed. This is a weird one. Let's go to a 3D view. Zoom in on this. Set our detail level to fine. Set our visual style to hidden line. So let's go back down to level 2. Remember, when we select the beam, that little arrow indicates which one is the start and which one is the end. Let's go back to a 3D view. Now come down to here. And I want to click on Cope Skewed. Now I'm going to select this beam here. And it gives us this weird little plate sitting on top of it. I found the best way to do it was to look at it in like an elevation. So let's go to the right view. Now we can kind of see it sitting there. This is a giant void. So for the cut back, I don't know, let's go 6 inches. That's going to cut it back into the beam. Distance from axis, I don't know, let's go -6 inches. It's going to stick it down into the beam. Just pan around in 3D. See, it's starting to hack that thing out. The cross section rotation, make that 45 degrees, hit apply. That rotates it back that way. For the plan rotation, we can go 45. Ooh, it's looking pretty funky. Again, I like to go to my right view just to get a grip on what I'm looking at here. Okay, so it's kind of hacking it out like that. Tilt angle. Keep going 45. I kind of tilted it right back out. So for my tilt angle, I'm going to go back to 0 with that. And maybe add a radius, 2 inches. That's going to put a radius on it. What's cool about this is we can hack this out at different angles. If you click boring out, it sort of blows out in plan. Gives it that weird round look. So we're going to hit that on that. Oh, I checked the boring out. So that's kind of how that works. Let's go to the other end. Go to the steel tab. Click on shorten. Select the beam. Same deal. The length, we can shorten it like by 6 inches if we want. And of course, angle along height, 12. Width, 12. Same kind of thing. Let's do one more. Let's go to steel. Let's use the contour cut. Select the face. It can be a plate or whatever. We're going to pick the top of our beam. Let's go down to level 2. I'm just going to draw a rectangle in here somewhere, like this. I'm going to click Finish. Don't panic when you see it, so go to a 3D view. You're sort of cutting the whole thing out, but I'm going to select this, the gap width. I'm going to go with 0. And it kind of blows a hole right through it, right? So for the boundary, instead of none, let's go side 1. Hit apply. Okay, now it's only in the top. Now the bounding distance, if we go 2 inches, it's going to push it back down further. Of course, the radius, if we go 1 inch, it's going to round those corners off. So that's how you hack up a beam. Let's do my favorite exercise and draw a couple beams. Let's draw a beam here. Let's draw a beam here. I'm going to draw maybe here. Another one here. Let's set our detail level to 5. Let's start up here. On the Steel tab, click the miter drop down and let's just go miter. Select this beam, hold down the control key and select this beam, hit enter, and it miters it up. Go to a 3D view, set your detail level to 5. Let's go to hidden lines. It's a pretty fancy miter. But what's cool is if we hover over the perimeter of it, we can select that box. And we can click on Modify Parameters. There's not too much here unless we want to put a gap in it. Let's put a 1/2 inch gap up in there. Make a bisecting line. Create a weld. Close out. And there it is. Here's our little weld. So, let's go back down to level 2. Let's go to miter, saw cut flange. Hold down your control key and grab both of these. Hit enter. And it essentially cuts it back. But if we create another beam, this time we come in at a 45-degree angle. Go to miter, saw cut flange. We select this beam and this beam. Hit enter. It's going to cut it out. Now we have a miter that's going to control this. If we go to a 3D view, of course we can grab this. Click Edit for Modify Parameters. It's got a couple more items. Front or rear. Rear means it's going to push it all the way through to the other side, which is kind of silly. We can put the same gap in there that we want. We could switch side with that. We just go to the other side. Straight cut basically puts it back to where it was. And of course that weld that we had before. We close out of here. Come down to this one, is kind of odd. We'll go to miter, saw cut web. I'm going to select this beam and then this beam and hit enter. It basically extends it into the other one. If we switch the direction, it kind of just cuts it off, which is not pretty helpful. When you're doing miters, it's probably going to be this one 9 out of 10 times. Go to the Structure tab, click the Beam button to draw a beam here. And you know what? I'm going to draw a beam right here. I'm going to hit escape a few times. Let's go to a 3D view. Let's set the detail level to fine. Let's set our visual style to hidden line. Now this beam here, let's make it a 16 by 26. And let's select this beam. Let's offset it down 2 inches. So start offset -2 inches and level -2 inches. There we go. We have this situation. Let's go to the Steel tab. Let's click on Cut Through. Select this beam. Hold down the Control key and select this beam. And hit Enter. And that's kind of cool, but it's not quite what we're looking for. So with this still selected, let's go to Modify Parameters. Uncheck Create Shortening. Just gonna pass that through again. Now we can do a few things. We can uncheck welding. Contour shape. I want to do a casing. Close out of here. Hit escape a couple times. Looks like we got a hole. If you set your visual style to realistic, we'll see a little bit better. If it didn't work on the first shot, what you need to do is select this. Then you can just change the direction that it's going in. But if this one is going to just basically slice it, it's going to be one beam, but it slices it, you probably never have that. So if I click this again, it's going to punch that hole through it. There you have it. Hit escape a few times. That's how you bore a hole through a beam with another beam.